No.
Could have warned me.
Now we're. Oh, yes.
I'll call to order this work session for October the 16th, 2023. Thank you, Miss Lisa.
She can see who's here.
I know, but, oh no, I was saying thank you for the little tag here. Make sure.
Tim Van Hooken,
Here.
Katie Harrington,
Here.
Evelyn Woolhop, Melissa Guns,
Here.
Matthew Wells.
Here. That is Ferris Bueller. Wall. This evening's work session is looking over the contracts that we currently have with organizations. Brad, do you want to walk us through these?
Sure. First one in your packets, the LaRoche Baseball Complex. It has been updated just recently by Jackson Tuff. One thing that, since I've been on board, that I've seen has been a problem is sending invoices, and we will get better with that. We have started getting some games coming in even in the winter time, so that's a good deal. But I don't feel, unless you have issues, I feel the LaRoche Complex contract is good. It's very precise. We just need to do a better job on our end in collecting money and being consistent with that.
The only question I had was, it talks about alcoholic beverages only being allowed at special events.
Yeah.
Is there like a form that they have to fill out?
Yes.
Does that get approved by
By the commission.
by us?
It's gotta be by the commission. Cannot be a school event, of course, but if it's a concert or something like that, it's gotta be approved by you.
There is one thing that I would like to see added to this, and only because I know it's been a problem in the past, is cleats.
Yeah,
We have players come in with cleats constantly, and it just ruins the field. Like, it wears out twice as fast, so I would like to see some type of a fine added in here if players come in and are, for the team, if players come in and are wearing
Because
cleats.
the cleats are in here, it's just you want to find it.
Yeah, well, there needs to be something, because we're the ones that have to foot the bill for fixing it.
I know umpiring out there, that's always been an issue. You know, most teams, I would say, a majority of the teams, especially high school, are very good at it. Some of the summer league teams come in and don't know the rules because most of them, you know, they're college kids, so they're used to wearing spikes. I would put it on as a deposit if we were gonna do something like that, because it is to replace those mounds, and it's pretty expensive. So let me put a deposit type for that.
Do you take a deposit or anything? You guys have to clean up. You put that for cleanup if you have to.
It says that the people are supposed to clean
Yeah.
up themselves.
There's no,
It says,
trash needs to be picked up out of dugouts, practice areas after every game by the responsible party, organization, or teams. Have we ever had that clean up after?
Oh, we do that, yeah. I mean, we've got somebody out there full time, so I'm sure they clean up. Plus, he's out there during the day filling up water jugs, picking up trash, things like that. That is something that we need to do a better job communicating with the coaches. It's not totally fair to them because it has not been communicated to. I know, when I was umpiring a lot out there, the guy that was doing it, and he was constantly there. And I think Tony does a good job also making sure he's out there, you know, making sure that things are taken care of, things are running smooth. You know, it is a service, and if we do collect the funding that we should be collecting, it's well worth it. Plus, we're getting people into our town and into the restaurants, and I will say, when we have a big weekend tournament, the hotels are all full, so that is a very good thing for all of us.
I just wanna make sure, because I know we kind of get fleeced sometimes when we, you know, we host things for the college, and I love that we can do that for them, so in no way am I upset with that at all. But I know they had a tournament this past year, and they made $17,000 off that tournament.
Yeah.
And the only reason, part of the reason they were able to have it was because they were able to use our field. And we didn't get even close to anything. Like, it was very, very insignificant amount that we got paid for that.
And we have Mary now, to where she'll be monitoring it more, and we'll make sure the invoices are sent out and, taken care of.
How much is it to replace, you know, off the top of your head, how much is it to replace the inserts?
I would say it's at least 1,000, according to which one it is. Most of the time, they're not real big holes, but if you see somebody out there digging into the earth, it makes you wonder a little bit,
Right.
but.
So yeah, I would like to see.
Like I said, majority of the kids do a great job to where they don't, and the coaches watch them. But
Right.
you do, I've seen it, I've been standing there umpiring, and next thing you know, you see a pitcher digging into the mound. Well, you're not going nowhere, it's going into a concrete slab, so.
What about, taking all the deposits on a credit card? And then we refund it at the
Refund.
end after a checklist has been done.
That would be easier for us,
That's what
because
I'm
we
thinking.
can do it here
Yep.
or over the phone, you know.
And then just have a checklist that we have our guys walk through at the end, and if everything,
And they sign off on it,
Yeah.
give the deposit back,
Yeah.
I like that idea.
Yeah, we basically like a hotel. Put a card on file, if you don't use it, you don't use it.
that's right.
So I'll take care of those, I'll get with Marion. Next one, get Buck Run.
Get that run golf simulator.
Yeah, that's new. Matter of fact, I think, I'm not even sure if it started yet, they were taking some reservations for it. Pretty self-explanatory, $10 per golfer per hour, up to 4 players with $20 deposit. It can be rented for a maximum of 3 consecutive hours. Team pricing, basically your college or your high school teams can come and practice with it for $30 per hour.
How far in advance can you make the reservation? 72 hours?
72 hours, yeah.
So then, like, it can't be, like, monopolized by the same group over and
Yes,
over again?
you're right. Most of them won't because of the price, but it could, you know.
Anything in here, can I read through it earlier, well, actually, last night on the plane, but, no alcohol?
No, not at Buck Run, no. You know.
Just making sure.
Now,
'cause-
I said this at the golf advisory meeting. Our goal is to have this one and another one at the golf course eventually, in our maintenance barn, our new maintenance barn, whenever we get that built, and then you could have alcohol. Basically be small town Top Golf. The next one's the facility rental, oh, go ahead, sorry.
Again, for ease of use and everything, instead of making a deposit with a check,
Credit card.
could we do credit card on, do basically all our deposits from here on out?
Well,
Is that,
some people may take a little bit of exception to that, because a lot of the city places where credit card is used, they get hit with that additional percentage. If someone's check is good, or even cash, if they want to use it, I'd like them to be able to do that, if they choose that they would like to elect not to get hit with that additional credit card charge.
do we, I thought with Tyler, we didn't have that.
We don't do the charge here, no. Now, rec track, I'd have to ask to see
Okay.
if we have that. You know, the thing about younger kids, do they have credit cards or would they be paying cash? You get the $20 deposit, I guess, so
It
Well,
just
if they
says,
have
it
to
doesn't
be-
matter to me.
They have to be accompanied by an adult 18
Right.
years or older, so.
So yeah, it doesn't really matter to me either way. I mean, the credit card, I don't, we don't use checks, so
instead of check, just put all deposits must be paid with
just pay.
either check or credit card.
Yeah,
Leave it as an option both ways.
however, are we going to cash that check and then
We are if there's damage.
reimburse the
Right.
check? Well, the only thing is, if they're paying a deposit and there's no way to hold that money unless you cash the check.
Right.
So they could put a stop payment before we cash it if you're gonna allow a check.
No, I guess that's where my mind went, is just the paperwork and the time involved in depositing the check and then refunding the money back to them. But I'm okay with it being both ways, just in case.
Unless you're going to get a credit card number for a deposit, but only run it if there's damage, because you're giving them, you're gonna have to do the same thing, if you take a credit card for the deposit and there's no damage, you're gonna have to refund the card, which is another step.
Right, but hotels do that all the time. They just put a hold on that money and then they release it.
We don't charge fees.
Yeah, gas stations do the same thing anymore. When you put your card in, they hold you for like $125.
So we're not doing that,
Not at Rec Track either. We
okay?
don't charge any fees at all.
So then, because that was actually a discussion in here during one of the meetings, was the additional percentage that was being charged in
Correct.
certain facilities within the city.
Yeah.
If that's the case, then I'm fine with just going with the credit card. But I would like, if we are charging that, for people to have the option to not get hit with that.
So we are going with credit card.
If there's no fee, yes.
If there's no fee.
Okay, so there's no fees.
I think it would make it easier and
Okay.
the hitting the numbers on the computer to release it as opposed to somebody depositing a check and writing another check or cashing it out and getting the money back. Just the logistics.
Cash is
If you wanna
gonna,
get real simple, just whoever's in charge of the thing, take their driver's license from them. We'll take your license as a deposit. We'll come out and we'll look at it and say it looks good, here's your license.
So when they first started making you pay at the pump,
well,
they would hold your license so you came back and paid for your gas. I remember that back in the day.
Well, I've used other outdoor facilities where they actually took your license.
Yeah.
So the next thing is the facility rental checklist. Basically just shows that all tables and chairs must be returned, trash collected, sweep all floors, that. Participant waiver and release liability provisions, bless you. And then there's the wage structure, the cost structure for Corey's gym, big gym, large meeting room, then upstairs studio. Tim found something else that I have not seen. I looked through our archives today, it may be in there.
I had someone send me something because, and again, I'm not gonna call out names, a lot of the people involved in this, I don't even know, but there have been some concerns and I guess you call them complaints about the use of the upstairs gym as a dance studio, and that it's kind of being monopolized, and that there have been people that have been told that even when it's not being used by that entity, that due to a floor that's been installed in there, that nobody else can go in there. Well, this is the city's community center. In fact, if it's a private entity making money, that's great, but someone had sent me something via phone that actually on a previous agreement for a commercial use of Buck Run, it was not $20 an hour, it was like $50 an hour or something like that. I've got it around here somewhere.
so it gets kinda, I got the same text messages from a citizen as well, concerned about it. And when I looked into it and asked about it, so the floor is a removable floor, it's not permanently installed. It's kind of a pain to pick up every time.
Right.
Yeah.
And the reason that people weren't being allowed to use that upstairs space was because when they were being allowed to use it, they were getting into the stuff that the dance studio keeps there and was given permission to keep there. There was an agreement between the old manager at Buck Run and the new manager that we have now at Buck Run. I don't believe the new manager really,
Do we have something signed to that effect, this agreement?
I
And
don't,
you bring in the storage of private property and
I
everything else?
don't believe we do.
No.
And that was the complaint that was brought to me, was that the people were, no one was allowed to use it because they were storing the stuff up there. I didn't hear about the floor.
And then there's the
Yeah.
floor as
Yeah.
well.
What I got brought was well, we can't let anybody up there because they might touch the stuff that we're leaving up there all the time.
Right. Now, I do know that the time that that is being used as a dance studio, they're paying for it just like anybody else would to rent the space.
Well, and like I said, it is a commercial business.
Yes, so,
And
I had seen a previous version of this that I don't see in here now, where the rate was much higher, but my big concern is that that's the community center, that's for all citizens of Fort Scott. And I have a real issue, not with the person, but if we're having a policy where somebody wants to use that space when it's not being used and reserve it, that they're being told no, and that they're being told no because a commercial business is storing their
Yeah.
stuff in there. Any other room used in Buck Run, when you're done with your event, you take your stuff
Yeah.
with you and you go and you make sure the room is set for whoever else might wanna use it.
Yeah.
And when we get around, I mean, this is just a work section of this, I think we need to look at that. I wanna look at what happened in the original agreement from what I've seen to the commercial, use fee. And the other part of it is I want it completely clear that city property, I think it's great that someone is offering a service to the kids, I'm not picking on that, but
Right.
when we got elected, we represent everybody in the city, and if there's people that say, hey, I'd like to use that too, then they should have the ability to do that.
Now, if they're worried about people messing with the stuff that's being left there, would we consider making a consideration of allowing them to put like a metal cage up there that they could put all their stuff in and lock, like they do in a lot of theater departments?
That makes us responsible for.
That makes us
Yeah.
responsible, and again, if we've gone to that extent,
No, we would not put it in.
no, I'm saying.
We would allow them to put a
If we're,
cage
if
in
we're
and store their
allowing
stuff.
that, then you truly have something you need to look at as a commercial use fee
yeah,
and not,
and they need to sign up a waiver.
yeah, we don't even know, do they have, are they covered for liability insurance for what they're doing in there? I don't know that. I mean, that'd be a good question to ask them.
Well, I mean, because it's such a muddy way the whole contract is with Buck Run and the rec board and us and the county. I think that is a contract we need to look up and clear, make a little more clear as well. But we have different people that have their own businesses, Taekwondo lessons,
Sure.
all these other different people. They come in and we pay them to come in to give the lessons. But we,
But other
Who's-
people can use that room though.
right, but who, I don't think they're paying for are they paying the fee to
Well,
rent that space?
All they pay is the 20, or upstairs are gym fees.
So,
They pay what's,
okay, so
I
the people
just got
that,
a text message, as of right now, we don't charge corporate, corporate cost.
As of right now.
Yeah, and I don't
Well, I
know
wonder
if I
where
would
that
call
came
them a
from.
corporate,
Was that from Mary?
to my email or my
Yeah,
text?
yeah.
You could.
so
Okay.
who do we consider corporate? Are we considering the individuals that we are paying to come in and teach these lessons? They have their own
No, I think
business to come in.
I think somebody
Or-
that is charging
Well, but
to
they,
teach something.
So other individuals.
some people, they do pay for some of these activities, even though we're paying on top of it. They're paying for, the kids and adults are paying to participate in things, and then we are also paying to bring those people in to teach those things in the first place.
Here's my opinion on it. One, we rent to the individual. Just my opinion, I've seen this a lot with Buck Run especially. You rent to the individual, what you do, don't matter, you're paying $20, whatever.
Well, you do care, don't
Well,
to an
you're,
extent.
But you want me to have my stuff out of there when I'm gone
or it's just, if you left the basketball in the gym, and it gets stolen,
That's all I need.
I'm sorry.
To me, what's the difference?
I mean, that's happened a ton of times when I was a
Something
kid.
that runs an extended period of time like this, where equipment's being kept there and stuff like that, what's the difference? Then why shouldn't I be allowed to if I want to? The new golf simulator, ironic. Tuesday and Thursday night, every Thursday, I'm gonna put it out there, I'm gonna leave my clubs in there, and when I'm not there, I don't want anybody else in there, because my clubs are in there.
And you left them, I'm sorry, but we can't watch
Thank you,
it.
and that's how it should apply
The
to the dance studio
The
as well.
only way I could see any of that happening is if you have it rented out in advance for consecutive days. Like if you're in there one day renting it for the same, and then you're renting it the next day for the same thing.
Okay.
But
But
you
there's
don't
still,
wanna have to take all
there
your
still
stuff
needs to
back
be
with you.
an understanding
But
or
yes.
release
That it's still
that
leaving at your own
identifies
risk.
that we're not responsible for their equipment or anything that they leave
Yeah.
in a public area.
Because the biggest concern, and it sounds like other people have had calls as well, is that's the community center. And I'm being told, even when it's not in use, that I can't go in there and use that. So let's say if someone else wanted to start up, I don't know, maybe a hip hop school
Mhm.
for dance, and they want to use that room, to start their own business and benefit the community. I don't like somebody being told you can't use that room because.
And I don't think that what has been said is totally true, because I do know other people have used it,
Right.
other than this group. But I agree, if they leave stuff, we don't want it to be damaged, but
Absolutely not.
we can't sit there and just watch, that's
Right.
something.
Here's my only problem with this whole thing, is what you're doing for one, you need to do in all of them. And if you are, say somebody is doing a play,
Mhm.
you can't take your set down with you and take it with you every day. It has to sit
Good
there.
point.
If you have, your props and all of your costuming, you can't take all that stuff, it's just too much. And some of it is even built in place and then when it's done, is taken down. So if we're gonna allow those types of things to be left there, then, and the expectation is nobody's going to mess with the stuff because there's a production going on.
But I'm talking about this instance, where else do we have something like that going on?
Well, we have let Buck Run be used in the past for community theaters
Sure.
up there on the stage, and then they'll leave the stage set up, and the guys will come in and play basketball and pickleball and
Yeah.
whatever else, and that stuff just stays.
But
up
the
on
people
stage.
that put that stage up there though, they're not telling the basketball team, you
They
can't come in
come
here.
in.
No, they're allowed, yeah. And I think there's an
But
understanding.
yeah, there's an understanding there that this area is off limits. This is not something that when you're renting the space is for you to use.
But the concerns I had heard was because I'm leaving equipment in there, because they're leaving equipment in there, and because we put this floor down and we don't want anybody damaging the floor that I put down.
Correct.
That's a lot different than
Yeah.
some props on stage.
It's still personal items that belong to a different entity being left in a city building that's a community.
But again, I'm not gonna, I just can't get behind making an exception for one person, because it is still, whether you wanna call it commercial or not, it's a private entity that is charging people for their services in a city resource, and then saying other people that live in that city and pay taxes can't come in and use it because of this.
Well, and I would say on the days that they're renting the space, keep your stuff there. But on the days that you're not, that space does need to be open
To
and
anyone.
available to anyone that
And
wants to rent that space.
if they wanna
What-
leave
what I
their
was
stuff
told,
there,
that was
they
the-
can.
That was the first rub, was I was being told that they were being said, you can't use the space because of this floor and because we have this stuff in here.
So I'm not sure about that because I haven't talked to Lucas to find out if he has flat out turned anybody down from renting that space.
Not if it's not being used, he hasn't, if it's reserved, yeah.
What about in years past,
I
previous?
I have no clue.
This is something that has caused hard feelings amongst people for more than just this amount of
I
time.
think in the past, it has been kind of pushed away to where, hey, her stuff or their stuff's up there. I know that the floor was there and it got a little bit of damage, so that kind of put a damper on another group from using it. I know Lucas has not done it, and we're trying to be as consistent as we can with it.
We have to be.
I think we can't go back and fix anything that's been done in the past, but there has been a lack of oversight as to what's going on down there. And now that we are more aware and we have different people in place, we need to be more diligent about making sure
Yeah, and I
things
think
are run with the city's.
I think we need to start confirming that people that are using it for activities like that, that they do have the proper liability insurance in place. And I don't care if it's that function, or if it's somebody that's doing a basketball tournament, or whatever they're doing, where it could put use of the facility, liability on Fort Scott. That's something we should be looking at as
Well, how does that work when
Well,
when we are
we just have
we're
a,
hosting things?
Yeah.
We have liability coverage for certain
If
things.
the city's hosting it, then we're covered. But if I tell you, if I'm an outside entity and I say, I'm gonna put together the Globetrotters basketball tournament
Right.
this weekend and invite these teams and kids in, that's what I'm
Right,
talking
I
about.
understand that, but then you're gonna have parents who wanna have a birthday party there and rent that gym space, and they're not gonna have liability insurance
That's
for
a-
their party.
They're not charging money,
So-
they're not charging money for people to attend.
but what about the guy who's doing Taekwondo?
No,
Is he gonna have to
He
have
should have some insurance.
insurance?
He should.
I mean, I think the first.
You don't think that kids kicking and punching at you, that the guy teaching it should make sure that he's got liability insurance?
No, but I would think that if he signs and has everyone sign a waiver indemnifying the city, that he should still be able to use
Well,
it.
You may as well
I think-
take that piece of paper, wipe it
I think the
with
first thing we need to
Remember,
do
Bob?
is to, talk to our insurance company and find out specifically what is covered under the use in that building and by whom. Because we can't, until we know exactly what's covered, it's hard to say
By
what.
that right, nobody can hold a pickleball tournament, even if there's not money
Is it a
involved.
city-sponsored pickleball tournament?
No,
Then we're covered. No?
Yeah, there-
they wouldn't be able to have yoga classes.
Yeah.
Spin
It-
classes.
You know, it's funny, I know down here you don't think so, but if you actually go anywhere else and live anywhere else, trust me, these guys for these rec centers, when you show up and say, hi, I'm a Taekwondo instructor, and I'm gonna bring 7 and 8-year-olds in here to kick the crap out of each other, the city's gonna say, okay, let's see, first of all, do you have any credentials
Are you
that you're
an
actually an
LLC?
instructor? And second of all, do you have any liability insurance?
Yeah.
Because the instructor can say, that didn't happen because that kid kicked him in the face, that happened because he slipped on your board.
And I think that's where our contract between the rec center and the facility and the school and us, we really need to sit down and clean it up, because there's a lot of gray areas as to who's responsible for what, when, why, and how, and what's covered by whom, and it's muddy.
Well, and I think that not just the insurance company, but I mean, I don't know if this is something that Bob is or is not aware of. We've talked to him too, because he's usually pretty good at trying to make sure that we're covering ourselves from a liability standpoint. If I was taking my kid in for karate class, I would absolutely wanna know if this guy's got insurance.
Yeah, I mean,
What if he's teaching my kid and kicks him in the face?
Yeah,
right, well, and, you know,
like I said, I grew up taking karate and aikido from people who definitely didn't have it.
but, and that's the thing, like, we have indoor soccer,
provider does
and
aerobics
parents
stuff.
pay to participate in indoor soccer, but you have moms and dads as
I
coaches.
don't think so.
I had coach's insurance when I was.
So- Unless Buck Run has something like that for everybody, I mean, because right now, all the coaching is voluntary, I
Yes.
believe, regardless of what sport it
But
is.
again, every coach, every year, we have to sign a
We have
waiver.
to sign
We have to indemnify the city, say this, we have to take a class that Tom puts us through saying, this is how you will act, this is the way, and if anything's reported, you'll be prosecuted, you have to make sure and keep track of everything. I mean,
Yeah.
so there's a lot more to it than just, hey, I'm gonna be a coach.
The only time I didn't have someone with a insurance coverage was way back when I was in ninja school in Japan. And that was the secret society, so.
All right, so we're gonna take a look at the insurance and
I'll talk
readdress
to
Yeah.
them on that. I'll holler on that tomorrow.
And maybe the contract that we have with the rec board.
Okay,
And some kind of
I'll send it to you.
some kind of indemnification, like what we do for the roach, for when people use the community center. That would be something, even regardless of the insurance issue, would make me feel more comfortable with these people, just knowing that that's been signed. I know it's just a piece of paper.
So basically that, and Commissioner Harrington showed me the next one, Memorial Hall,
It does.
has insurance for events
Yeah.
and indemnification. Yeah, it's got a lot of misspelled words, but it's got, you know,
I looked through the Memorial Hall one, Brad, and the only thing I think we still are gonna have to, once we finalize this and can actually vote on it, is what type of fee structure we wanna put in place for it. Like I
so,
said, previously I had called around to Pittsburgh and Chanute and Iola for their similar event centers that they had and got some kind of an idea, but is that something that Mary is looking at too while she's rewriting these?
she's looking at what we should be, you know, if it's a for-profit, non-for-profit, school function, things like that. You know, we don't wanna make it really muddy, but we need to make sure it's consistent and affordable, because there are other places they could go to use, and we do want them to use Memorial Hall. We've done some work to Memorial Hall that we'd like to showcase. You know, one agreement that I saw also, and is the Old Fort genealogy. Back in 2004, there's an agreement that they're supposed to be paying $75 a month. I don't think we're doing that. I mean,
Never charge them for that.
Never charged.
so, I mean, that's, and we don't charge American Legion, things like that, that was a given. That was something that was way before all of us. And so, I mean, we need to,
I would dare you to charge the DAR.
yeah, we're not doing that either.
Yeah, and they store their stuff in there too, so we need,
It's in the room.
It's in their room though, they have a separate.
They have their own room.
but do we have a waiver that if anything happens there, we're
But
not
not
responsible for their
everything,
stuff?
like they store the bingo board and
No, I'm
stuff.
talking about the American Legion, I'm talking about the DAR. That's a completely separate entrance even on the side of the building.
Right, I'm just thinking if they have items that belong to their organization or is individuals stored there, do we have something saying we're not liable if the building catches fire?
Right, I just
We're
know that
reimbursing their stuff.
when we looked at cleaning up the back of the stage, that's where they were keeping the bingo board and some tables and chairs and flags for the American Legion, a whole bunch of stuff, so it's not all in a secured area, it's just,
But the hall can still be used even with it.
yes.
And they're not telling anybody they can't use
They
the hall.
are not, no.
Well, just those specific spaces.
I'm back.
Are you working on the Easter thing already now, or what's that?
No, I'm with someone else that has to talk tonight.
I guess the only thing I'm worried about is the point of not getting people to use it. I mean, we've tried hard to get people to come in, and I can tell you, and maybe it's nobody's fault, but some of the events that are going on, it's not making money. They're not making money, actually losing money now. Is that our fault? Not really, but you know, we do have to remember we have to clean the place and we have to run the place.
There's maintenance that has to be done on it.
But I just don't wanna run,
I'm not talking about a huge amount of money, but let's say, what's the difference then if someone's having an event or a concert or whatever there? And I'm not saying, you know, it's like, boom, $1,500, but nobody's gonna come. You know, it's gotta be something reasonable just to cover the cost of cleaning it up and stuff like that. But if you're not gonna charge anybody for doing something like that, what if somebody wants to hold a wedding reception in there? You're gonna tell them, okay, now you're gonna pay $2,000 for that.
I think maybe we should have a tier,
$1,500, people won't pay that.
yeah.
No,
for
they
that
won't.
space.
I think we need a tiered structure where if you have, 10 to 15 people,
Well, that's what other municipalities have, and they
Yeah.
actually have even for a maintenance side of it.
Yeah.
You know, it's a minimal fee, but it's to make sure that,
right,
you know, we have some money,
Yeah.
we need to replace light bulbs or do whatever in there. So I'm not trying to raise it up, but again,
and a
if we're gonna-
deposit, I'm not opposed to a deposit. And then if everything, go through the checklist, everything is in good order, get your deposit back.
you know, and I know I'm a member of the American Legion and the VFW, and I know when we talked about potentially a fee for Memorial Hall, we had most of the contingent of the Legionnaires in here.
According to the charter from the building memorial.
For the charter for them to use the building for their meeting room.
Yeah.
However, you know, it wouldn't hurt since it's their facility that they're in, maybe, and I'll talk to them, I don't know, I'm not saying I wanna do it right now, but maybe the proceeds from some of the bingo does really well to help for the upkeep of even their own meeting area where they're at in there. To me, if you're invested in it, you're invested in it, you know. So, and that's not something I'm saying definitive, but again, under this policy, whoever wants to use it for whatever, there you go, here's the keys, no charge.
Or, you know, and if it is depending on if it's not necessarily a for-profit, but if they're charging people to come in and use the venue, you know, if it's a nonprofit, 10% of your ticket sales.
Yeah.
And then if it's a for-profit, you know,
And you could-
15 or
You can build
20%.
that, you can build that into what you're charging
Yeah.
people to come into.
But then in the case where it's just being used for an event where there is no money changing hands, it's public, citizen-based, anything like that, again, the charter said that it's supposed to be available to be used by citizens. If it's not making any money and no fees are being charged, that they can use the facility with no cost.
So I'm fine with that, if
Okay.
nobody's exchanging hands, I mean, not that
But
we're
if you
building
are
on
charging-
anything.
If you're charging, then that's a whole nother
Yeah.
story. Once you start
Yeah.
trying to make money, then everything changes.
If you're a nonprofit charging,
And I'm not wanting
10%.
something.
So an
through the roof.
individual maybe having a birthday party or a wedding, you're stating that they can use it for free.
I'll have to check the exact wording. It was more for citizen-based events,
so for like civic events,
civic events, yeah.
okay, not private, but well, a wedding would be a private event, not
It
a.
would be a
Right.
private.
No,
buy the whole
not if you
town.
go say,
And if you open the door and say
That's
everyone's
true.
welcome, there's a
So-
gray area.
there,
Yeah,
that's why I'm like,
I
Yeah,
think
but-
we've only had like maybe one wedding, it's
it's
more
because
hall in
we
the past
told them
year.
it charges $1,500 to have the venue, so.
Yeah,
I mean, we've had several that say they do not wanna spend the $1,500 for
yeah,
that venue.
I wouldn't spend it,
So
I mean, I
that's why
love
we
Memorial
haven't
Hall,
got
but
it.
I wouldn't spend that much money to
Sure.
have a wedding there.
But if we're doing that, like Tim suggested, we have a tiered structure that says weddings. So if it's a
Birthday
wedding,
party,
birthday party, we can have that.
And if it's a four ticket fees come in, this percentage,
Yeah.
or you could even, to make it easier on people, you could say this percentage of 10% of your sales, or not to exceed this amount of money.
Yeah.
Cause just say somebody big comes in here and you're like, we're getting $45 a ticket, I'm like, we're getting $4.50 a ticket, that ain't fair.
No, that's not.
So you can look at it like that, so you could even say something as easy as $1 a ticket. You know?
Let me get a rough draft on this, and I'll bring it back to you.
Okay.
We'll look at it.
Brad's wheels are turning.
Yeah, I'll talk to Jessica Allison on the American Legion and see what she feels.
I understand if they wanna say no, but to me, what I would almost say, Brad, was at any amount or percentage amount, since we maintain the building, that they would be willing to share from the bingo, that money would be strictly allocated towards the improvement and remodeling of the Legion.
I think-
Well, everything's gotta go back to housekeeping.
Any money that we make from any events that we have there needs to be put, I would love to see a Memorial Hall building fund, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
So that anything that we make,
We could actually make a fund, like we did with the golf, where it could go back in. But right now, we don't have a housekeeper, so we have to hire somebody to clean the place, so
we contract somebody to do it, right?
we did. We left it, so we're looking for somebody.
Well, I mean, if you do it like that with the Legion, for instance, you can say, look, thank you for giving us this much, and every bit of that will go to updating or whatever your area, because we kind of take a piece of what needs needs to be worked on in there. The genealogy place is horrible downstairs. This needs this over there. The stage needs to be painted. All of that stuff, you know, is.
Bathrooms, he's got some.
Yeah, let's put those under the American Legion.
Bathroom, really,
Bad. Okay, was that the last contract?
That was the last one for this evening, yes.
We got 15.
Yep, we'll adjourn